Hey guys, it's PepeGawd and AlanHowick here, Decentraland citizens since what, 2021, I guess?
2021, yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's November 23rd of 2024. The Decentraland Music Fest is coming to an end shortly, and we just wanted to come on and make this video to share some of our thoughts with the state of the new platform and what we thought can use improvement, what was good, and what's working and what's not. We've not done something like this before, but we've made some notes and just kind of want to list through them how we think what's next for Decentraland and things that we can work on. You can see over this way,
Right on.
everybody's gathering around the stage for a photo as the festival's coming to an end. So it's been cool overall. You know, I think we've been to the other music fests that when they called them Metaverse Music Fest, and you know, I feel like some of them maybe had a little bit more effort put into them in terms of experience and things to do. That was on the old client, you know, when everything was running in the web browser. But overall, I mean, it's cool. I think a large part of this new test client and Decentraland 2.0 was to see how many users we can get in a single scene and not partitioning it by, you know, island or however we worked it before on server when it was in the web browser. But
Mhm.
yeah, I'm generally impressed with the performance and the look of everything and how it worked. Although, you know, there's some times where things weren't working and we'd need to restart the client and stuff. But hopefully, a lot of that will get ironed out um, as we move out of beta and that sort of thing. But yeah, so let's just get started on the list of things that I think, you know, could be improved or issues that we ran into that I think would change the experience of Decentraland overall. Um, Alan and I were doing some testing about our avatars and the interactions between the two of us, and like the delays on that. We're both in Canada. One of us is on the east and one of us is on the west coast. So I mean, I'm not sure how servers are working or interactions um, with the avatars across the servers. But you know, in general, if we are doing emotes with each other and comparing them, I think that there's maybe, you know, a half a second delay or something, which is fine, I think, for the most part. But if you're getting into interactive games where it's a competition or timing matters, then it gets a little bit tough with the character interaction delays. And yeah, how have you thought that it's looked? I mean, before, I think sometimes we would get lost if we were running in the web browser and we were running and like trying to follow each other. Sometimes the other person might just disappear, or has that still happened to you at all, Al?
Um, not as much. It seems to be fairly easy to stay in the same, let's say, scene with somebody or
Yeah,
within visual distance. So,
I think it's improved a lot. But
um,
here's something that
yeah.
hasn't, and I don't know if it's the way that this scene was set up. We're actually almost close to being similar in terms of how this elevator is working right now. You're like a foot below me or something. I don't know if you see the same thing in your
Y-
screen.
y- yeah, on
But
my screen, you're a foot below me,
so I think we just
strangely enough.
happened to get onto the scene at the same time and the animation started. Like I'm gonna try and
Maybe.
reload the scene right now. I just typed slash reload, and since it's an
Mm-hmm.
SDK7 scene, it will reload. But let's see how close these elevator animations are now, because when we were testing earlier, it was like completely off, like polar opposites almost in terms of how the elevators were working.
Oh,
No, no,
I
it's all good.
wish-
I mean, I think you
yeah,
could see it there. It's like if you get back on the elevator,
yeah, yeah. Oh, I missed it.
that's okay.
So lame.
That's okay. But I mean, I think we're proving the point that like the animations are off. So I think there's two. My understanding, and again, like some of my terminology might be a little bit off with how it's used in game development. I'm not entirely sure, but um, these animations on the elevators are client side, not server side. Or if they are server side, they're off like a decent amount. I mean, it's by chance. Like another time when we tested it, it was complete opposite. Like when Alan's elevator was at the top, mine was at the bottom, and you would just see him floating through the air, which isn't ideal. It kind of like
Hmm.
ruins the illusion of the metaverse that we're sharing the experience together. And I wanted to test something else on the UFOs over by the stage here too, because that's another good example of the character controller and interactions between the avatars not being the same. So I'm heading over to the UFOs by the stage, Alan.
Okay,
Like
gotcha.
the
Yeah, I
spinning
did lose you
UFOs.
there. Yeah. That's a good example. Yeah.
So on this one, and everybody's kind of gathered up. It looks pretty cool, you know. In terms of lag and stuff, it's not too bad relative to what we experienced, you know, in the web browser version. But you could see here, like, see, I'm standing on this UFO and I'm spinning and I'm emoting and it looks cool, like. But Alan is, he's not moving. He's just standing
I
on
am
the
not
UFO and
moving.
rotating. But in my screen, I'm seeing his avatar take little tiny steps and continuously face one direction, and then he'll play an emote and it'll stop immediately because whatever's happening, however this interaction's happening with the server side call on the emote and where his avatar is positioned isn't syncing up. And again, it just like kind of ruins the immersion of the metaverse, which is a huge part of this, like the interaction between us. So I mean, I
Yeah, like
don't know the logistics of how to fix this issue, or if it's, you know, a technological restriction that we're just not there yet. But I mean, there's plenty of other games and examples of MMOs like World of Warcraft and stuff where this generally isn't an issue, and they are big open world games where you can interact with thousands of unique users at a time. So I don't know if Decentraland's struggling on the server, or that's not coded in, or but it's definitely something that I think should be addressed sooner than later. It's important to most users, I think. So
yeah, just for the record too, what I'm seeing, just to be clear, is your avatar is doing what mine is to you. You're just spinning around in a circle and your feet are moving, but that's it. It does look weird.
yeah.
So
So if you jump up here on this cube, I was gonna point something else out with our avatars, something new that is with like it made it more immersive on client-side animations on our avatars, but it doesn't correspond to what you're seeing. So like with the camera, for example, depending on which way I'm looking, my head will turn to look in that direction when I'm in third person. And it's really cool. It gives you a sense that you're like connected to your avatar and you're part of it. When I walk up to a wall, I'll put my hands up. They have like inverse kinematics, and it does the same thing with your legs and feet, which is really cool part of how the avatar moves. But you can't see that, correct? Like my hand's up on the wall, but you can't see my hand on the wall.
I can't see your hands on the wall.
Yeah.
No.
So, and if you do it, you'll see your hands on the wall, but I won't see your hands on the wall. And so, again,
Yeah.
I think the proper terminology is that this is a client-side animation and it's not server-side, which, I mean, I think if we want this to be truly immersive and, you know, have the correct interactions that people want with each other, that needs to be server-side. And it needs to not have a huge delay. Like, I mean, half a second doesn't really work, but... so it'd be ideal to bring that down. And like even in terms of jumping and stuff, like if we ever wanted interactions in the future where we have collisions on our characters, the delay is just so bad that it doesn't really work. And I know again it could depend on where you are in the world how this is synced up. Like in competitive esports, for example, they still have LAN tournaments and they have regional qualifiers because a team in China can't play a team in North America without at least one of them having a grotesque latency. So, I mean, yes, there are some technological restrictions that stop this from working properly, but I mean, I still think it's more than what we'd expect even in one of these regular delays like on being on the other side of the world. But again, I don't know where the servers exactly are located for Decentraland and how far it has to bounce to pull those. But in this case, I mean, the avatar animations and the head swivel, they aren't even corresponding to Alan at all. So I could shake my head, or I could nod my head, and I think that would be really cool for him to be able to see. And again, like, he can see my emotes, so I can't see a reason that wouldn't be possible. But
can I say one quick thing about emotes? I don't understand. I know this is a side point, but why you have to press it twice?
yeah. I mean, we could definitely think about some
time.
improvements about emotes, how you have to hit the wheel, and then there's like a delay until you could press it.
Sorry, that's a side issue.
But yeah, I think it would be great to be able to, I mean, ideally, I think we should be able to set our own hotkeys for whatever we want to do. Maybe even make macros for hotkeys that just hitting a single key would do a specific emote.
I preferred the single key 1 through 0, basically. Yeah. Just, one click, boom, done. It was nice and easy.
Yeah.
Doesn't interfere with pictures, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
while we're on the topic of the character controller, I mean, let's talk about the walking animation. So let's you and I walk this direction.
Whoops, I'm running here.
And yeah, I mean, it's okay. I think I agree that it's not ideal in terms of how the walk looks, but you have more of yeah, it kind of looks like you're stutter stepping, actually. It looks like you're stopping in between each step, and my character kind of looks like that as well.
Yeah, on my end, it definitely looks like he's got a heavy foot. It's clunky. I like walking and being able to walk.
It's like the RP style. People do it in MMOs. Lots of people use the walking, and this walking animation, I feel like the old one in the web client was decent, and then with the new character controller, it got botched a little bit. So anyways, the jog is pretty good. The sprint is pretty good.
So you just disappeared, to be honest.
Yeah, I disappeared for you.
I don't even know where. There you are.
I'm here. Yeah. Oh, you disappeared for me too.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean, this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. I mean, it really ruins the immersion of it when you just disappear. I mean, I know we're working on it. It's the beta, but like, this seems like something that should be a pretty straightforward fix, or like how that's happening. You showed up again.
Yeah.
Hello.
Okay.
Oh, you disappeared again. So I don't even know what fixes this. I mean,
I'm gonna go stand in front of the screen here at the just where I am, so we can. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. Another thing, that about disappearing is that scenes will disappear depending on what distance you are from them, and that was something that the new client was supposed to correct for the most part, I think. And a lot of the time, it looks really cool, like when you're high up and you can look at the skyline, you can see way into the distance, and there's that, I think it's called the LOD, where it loads a different density of the triangles and textures and in the scene, so that it can cut down on compute required to render in the distance, and that's fine. That's understandable, but it really needs to be like troubleshooted, I think, or if that's the correct terminology, because troubleshot, because it's just constantly disappearing. And here it's not as bad right now, but as you could see, this animation, this was actually a scene that I made, but it didn't load until we got right up there. And I know that might take some compute. Now, Alan, when you jumped in the scene, you disappeared for me, so I can't see you anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, it just ruins a lot of the immersion. And right now, I'm seeing that now in the distance, this one disappeared completely. So like when we're on my scene here that I did for the festival, the other creator, Stom, who created the space elevator on the other side of the festival, just disappears. It doesn't do some different LOD load distance, and I don't know because there's a lot of animations in that scene, but yeah, it just ruins a lot of the immersion, I find. So add it to the list of disappearing complaints that hopefully will get sorted out in the beta. Yeah,
Hmm.
and again, I don't think that this scene animation is synced. We can do some testing later. You just appeared again for me. Um,
Yeah, I'm not even moving. It's weird. It's some distance, or I don't know what's going on. I can't even see you. Oh, there you are at the top. Okay, there. Yeah.
and I mean, it's tough. Like, I brought a friend into Decentraland recently, like a few weeks ago, just to show him what's changed since the web clients kind of being relegated and the new ones, where the focus lies. And when he came in, I was waiting for him at the spawn point, but he couldn't see me, and he's like, "Where are you?" And we're getting a perfect, exact inverse animation right now. I don't know if you're seeing the same thing in your screen, Alan, but like when you get to the top
Yeah.
of this float, I'm at the bottom.
Yeah, we're on opposite ends of the timing or whatnot. Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's
I mean,
weird. I mean,
and
it's a moving surface, but yeah.
I've done testing in the Creator Hub with using the multiplayer component to try to sync object animations. And I mean, although it seemed like a little bit better, it was still off. And we'll do some testing shortly to show how that worked, even when we're trying to sync it with the multiplayer component. But I don't see why at the festival here why they wouldn't be using that multiplayer component to sync the animations for us. So yeah,
Hmm.
anyways, I think we've probably beat that one to death in terms of animation syncing and character controllers and scene
Yeah,
animations just not being on the same page, and I think it's important.
for
I
sure.
want to go back to something over here in this area
Mm.
where they were doing some of the talks. Like, we have a couple of avatars here that are sitting in chairs, kind of. I mean, I'm assuming in Spooky M's, yeah, like maybe she's doing this right now, but um, she's trying to sit in this chair, and she has an emote that's some sort of seat, but because that emote doesn't line up with how the collider is on the chair, you just appeared sitting in one of the chairs. It's not She's not really able to sit. So, like, you see, Alan here he's managed to sit in this chair. I mean, he's floating a little bit, but I do feel like, we've wanted this for a while to be able to, and other metaverses have done it. Portals has done it where you'll just hit a hotkey, and depending on what the topology of the object is in front of you, if it's likely that you could sit there, they could do it with ledges or anything like that, you are able to sit. And we should be able to mimic that because I just think it's important for Decentraland. With metaverse competition, I do feel like Decentraland, we're still here since 2021, participating in everything when, there's been so much media trashing and the communities like dwindled to a few hundred people and that sort of thing. But I do think that there's something special in Decentraland that no other metaverses have touched on really, and it's the consistent world with the map and the capability of having neighbors and building next to neighbors and all these different things. In fact, Alan and I
Hmm.
met in Decentraland.
Yeah.
So it's like that, and in these other metaverses like Sandbox and Portals and Somnium Space, or what else am I missing? I mean, they're always like segregated worlds. Or even when we're talking about the non-crypto metaverses like Roblox, which is super popular, there's no consistent world with a map of this Genesis City where you can buy land and have neighbors. Um, Maybe in the past, Second or not Second Life. What's Is that the name of the game that had something similar in the past that
Ye-
was not Web 2
yeah,
related at
I
all? It
think
was quite
so.
a bit older. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's been tested to some extent, but I do think there's something special about that which makes Decentraland stand out and is a really important thing that can um, take it to the next level. So correcting some of these issues, hopefully, will take it there.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're gonna leave the festival grounds now and interact with a few other things. We're actually gonna run down the street to uh, some land that I have that's an estate. So Alan, it
I'll
seems like
follow
we're
you.
pretty synced up right now in terms of where our characters are. So we're going
You
to head
you
up.
just disappeared.
I disappeared. All right. Well,
Yeah. Which okay, we're
we're
actually pretty
heading to the
close.
west. So I'll wait at the
Yes.
road to the west for you, where
All right.
we need to call the Decentraland Ministry of Transportation and Infrastructure because it's a mess. And like
Yeah.
the fact, I'll wait for you here. I'm at -51, -61, which is
You know,
oh
I'm
there. You just
standing
showed up.
here
You showed
too.
up for a second beside me. So I mean,
You know what? I might just maybe I should refresh or one of a and
yeah.
meet up with you again.
You
You know what I
you
mean? See
you
if
you
there's
you
something
exit
quirky
the
going on.
client and then bring it back
Yeah.
up and we'll see if that fixes the issue.
Yeah. I'm gonna do that right now.
So right
So.
now, I mean, in this scene, we have the grass overlapping with the road at one spot, and then the road is Z fighting with another version of the road, and it's in SDK 6, and like it's right beside the festival grounds where Decentraland's trying to show off what it's accomplished with this new client, and it's just, not ideal for new people that somebody that's into Decentraland would be bringing in to show. And I don't, Alan sees it and I see it. It's not a glitch for us. I just feel like this needs to be fixed. But anyways, I think I've seen excuse me, a lot of these
I
in the Discord
mm,
of other examples where people have pointed this out, and I don't really think that they've been fixed.
maybe there's one fix that'll fix all the road parts. you know.
Yeah, it could just be that
It's,
like multiple models were loaded in on top of each other, but I think
mhm.
it just would have been ideal if it was fixed before the festival and like this big beta test. But anyways,
Yeah.
is
It
yours
it
loading up?
throws me off.
Is yours loading
Yeah.
up?
I just got in. I just got in. Takes about a minute to get loaded up. Um,
Yeah, I do feel
this whole
like
road is screwed up.
yeah, I do feel like for what the new client is that like my computer's a beast. There you are. And it struggles
Hmm.
sometimes. Like at one point, I saw Decentraland was taking up 41 gigs of RAM. I have 64 gigs, and like it was taking 41 gigs just while I was playing one time. And then in terms of my GPU, it's like struggling too. I have a RTX 3090, and it's like, yeah, maybe it's not top of the line, but anyways, I hope that the client performance can improve because, yeah, it seems like it's struggling a bit. So here we're heading
Hmm.
to my estate, which is this big gray building. I mean, yes, it's pretty poorly done, I would say. I mean, I was just testing some things. So, anyways, I've set it up so that you could just click on the building and jump to the roof. And yeah, we have some objects that I've done animations on here, and for some reason they just immediately start playing when we jump into the scene. When I'm testing this is done in the new Creator Hub. These aren't just autoplay when you enter the scene. And once I click on them, then it stops. Both of these objects are multiplayer component animations, and as you can see, it's inconsistent where the animation stops and starts. I mean, it is only like a 7 frame animation, but it's supposed to stop where it started at a small ball, and it's just inconsistent. So, but it does interact with both of us. I mean, it knocks us back a bit. It's supposed to have a collider on it, so you could see a bit of a delay there, but overall, it's decent. Um, I should also note, Bitcoin is bordering 100K USD today, or it has been for a day or two. So I've got on my Bitcoin cape, but overall, the crypto community is pretty happy about that. Um, but Decentraland and the metaverse in general hasn't really seen a resurgence. I mean, Sandbox is in its alpha season 4. It's kind of like paying users to play the games, which are all like segregated experiences from, some pretty big brands, but it's okay. But yeah, it's interesting. Last cycle, the metaverse was just like the thing, for a while. And although a lot of coins are creeping back on their all-time highs and crypto sentiment's up there right now because of Bitcoin's price, we haven't really seen much of a resurgence for Web3 metaverses. Well, do you
Yeah.
have any takes on that,
Yeah.
Alan?
Um, No, I don't really. I don't know what I'd say about that.
Yeah. I mean, hey,
I'm,
we're both
I'm
still
also a big
here.
ETH holder, and I'm pissed off about that more than my mana bag. So,
Yeah, yeah.
I guess I don't really worry too much about the price of mana. I guess personally, I want a really cool experience, um, and if mana is 25 cents or $5, it doesn't really matter to me. I just want it to work, and I want to put up some cool scenes and have some fun in there. And if that occurs, I think the price will reflect that down the road. So,
Totally. I mean, yeah, for me at this
yeah,
point,
yeah,
I've totally like in terms of price of assets for metaverse stuff is totally like not even what I'm interested in. It's just like mainly the
hmm
experience, wanting to build. You and I come from like pretty different backgrounds when it comes to the digital space. I mean, I would consider myself pretty much like a hardcore gamer. Like I've played competitive esports.
hmm
I played a lot of games. I've spent tens of thousands of hours in World of Warcraft and other games. Whereas, I mean, you've done gaming, but I don't think that it's like a mainstay
No,
for you.
no, I'm not a huge gamer. I'm more into Decentraland for the kind of strange art platform that I think it can and should be. So that's where my interest kind of comes from, my main interest. I would love for there to be some fun games in here. It'd be uh, a real bonus for sure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I look at it more like I want to make some weird scenes. I consider Decentraland a new sort of platform for art. And I'm bored with television and that kind of crap. So, um, want to try some new stuff, metaverse stuff.
Yeah,
So
cool. And I think we're both like kind of crypto maxis, which also appeals to doing something in Decentraland. Which although we've kind
for
of
sure.
sounded like we're complaining about a lot of Decentraland stuff, I still, after all my experiences, I've done developments in Decentraland, Portals, Sandbox, um, on Cyber, and what are some of the other ones that I'm
I
missing
don't
here?
even know. I'm a Decentraland maxi. I
Yeah.
gotta admit, I've been in the sandbox a few times, and I no, not really interesting. Um,
Yeah.
I'm Decentraland or bust,
Yeah.
basically.
I mean, I do
Me.
think even where it's at right now, I still, and it sounded like we're complaining, I still my favorite
No.
is Decentraland, not even related to my anything related to my investments here, or I just think that it's the furthest along in terms of possibilities and whatnot. Um, so Alan just got into the
Oop.
catapult, and this is a multiplayer component catapult. So I clicked it, which played the animation, and again, the animation is supposed to, I didn't put a lot of effort into this. I just like quickly threw it together in Blender. But the animation is supposed to have that little cup, which I could make invisible at one point, which would make it look more like, an interaction with getting launched on a catapult. But it's supposed to go back into the head of the catapult here, and you can see it's just like inconsistent where it ends up after you click. See, it's like floating in the air over here now for me in my screen. I don't know if you see the same thing,
I
but
do. Yeah, it is
I
floating
don't
there.
know if that's
Yeah.
a bug with the new Creator Hub. I mean, it's just like a little bit odd. When I test it in the Creator Hub, and which opens the new client to test it, that doesn't happen. But then when I load it into World in Genesis City on my scene, that happens. And it's just like these little bugs, prevent us from making progress on some things. And I mean, the delay. Let's look at the delay one more time. If you can hop in the handle or the cup there, and I'll press it.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna click. One, two, three, click. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's not bad. Like, it's acceptable. If it was consistent, I would say it would be great if it could be improved a little bit. But, um, yeah, uh, I I do think that with some of these issues corrected, we could make some fun experiences that would bring in new users and bring more interest. Um, I'm just looking at my notes here for items that we've covered and what we haven't talked about. I mean, something
Mhm.
that's been brought up is the camera, the way the camera is now working in the new client. And I think that this reticle in the center, and then you can right click and have the a mouse pointer instead. I think that's all good. You can go in first person, which right now it's butchered because I have a object attached to my face, so my first person doesn't really work properly now. But that was just some testing that I was doing because this is not a wearable that I'm wearing on my head. It's just an interaction that I made in the Creator Hub of a model that attaches to the neck bone. But yeah, this first zoom out of the camera, I think, looks decent. And then the far away camera, I think it's cool as well. But I do notice that when you bring it down and try to zoom in, I get stuck right here. Like I can't zoom in any more than this by moving my mouse unless I use the scroll wheel to go into that closer up third person camera. And it just doesn't really make sense that it gets stuck because I can't look up. Like if I wanted to look up more at the moon right now, no matter what I do, I'm unable to. Like I can't in the far zoomed out third person camera. But in this one I can, and again it tracks my head, which is cool for me, but hopefully for other people. So anyways, then Alan, you had mentioned clipping of colliders with the third person camera, like as you're approaching a wall, sometimes your camera will just go into the wall and you'll see the interior of it. I mean, it just seems like it's a bit of a buffer
Hmm.
issue with how that third person camera is working and where a collider is. I mean, I'm showing a perfect example right now. I'm standing beside this wall and it just has me clipping straight into the wall, and then sometimes it looks like it works okay and other times it doesn't, but it needs to be addressed. I see you just fell down the elevator.
Yeah,
That was awesome.
your trap, your pit.
So again, this
Uh-oh.
scene, don't this scene I spent just I was just doing some testing. This isn't made to be anything particular, but just to show some of these examples. So um, was there anything that you wanted to add about the camera and how you felt about the way it's working now? I find myself, since the new client, almost never using
Um,
first person camera. I really like the third person camera. The zoomed out one would be ideal if it was fixed, but it's pretty
yeah,
good.
I'm not being an old school gamer. I do like first person view um, to navigate and do stuff out of need, maybe more than anything. Damn, I can't get back up there. And I don't know. I feel like the first person view is uh, not as good as it was before. That probably doesn't make any sense because
No,
it's just
I, I
first person
I do
view.
feel the
But
same way. The first person, that I
yeah,
mean, maybe that's why I'm not using it. It just feels a little odd. I just can't put my finger on it exactly, but
yeah. Um, I can't manage to get up to your roof again.
oh, if
You
you
see it?
there's either an elevator one that's like, I mean, a butchered
Oh,
elevator that's not even going
oh, there
through
we
where
go.
the
I'll
elevator
see
is.
it. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Oh,
But
there we go.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it does feel clunky. You know, whether it's seeing through walls when you're in, when you're in the third person perspective. Sometimes like it works fine, and then sometimes it doesn't. I find stuff like parkour, it's I have to do it in first person, but it doesn't work as well as it used to. And when I go into the third person views, it's just sort of it's too chaotic.
yeah,
Anytime I'm rotating around or I'm close to a wall, it just turns into this sort of dizzying kind of, like what is going on here?
right.
But maybe it's just me being, a novice essentially, or not as. For some people, they just work around this stuff, but me, it's a little harder.
Yeah. Um, with the third person camera, yeah, it definitely is glitching into the walls. Look, when we're looking into the distance here, we can see the festival grounds, and you can even see that the roads
Yeah.
are all glitching and Z fighting with each other when we're looking into the distance right now. I don't know what you have your load distance set
Yeah.
to, but I'm assuming that you can see that same thing.
I can see it, especially at the intersections.
Yeah, yeah.
Or that's where one place is clear. Yeah.
So,
Um,
yeah, I mean, there's a few. I'm just gonna list a few other things that I think that
mhm.
need to be fixed. I mean, our profile in the corner, it doesn't show a profile picture of our avatar, which I think is a pretty straightforward fix that it should. Um, what other minor issues have we thought of that should be fixed ASAP?
Well, this is an aesthetics thing. I mentioned to you, I'm not, and this is just my opinion, but I'm not a huge fan of the pink trees and the weird kind of aquamarine green and orange trees and the red dirt. That's just me. I don't
Yeah,
know.
we were
Um,
green before. I like the look of the new client. And I like how
yeah,
there's some hills and whatnot. And but yeah, I mean, and if you press your map, you can see like the map now totally doesn't match what the world looks like because the map's green and all the trees are green and whatnot. But then the world's red, and then there's some green trees and some pink trees. I
yeah,
mean, I guess it's trying to be on brand with the Decentraland logo colors, but the trees are like a little bit more pink than red, and yeah. Anyways,
yeah. It's just a tiny thing, and if you put it to a vote, maybe more people like pink and orange and green tree and what I don't know what color that is, kind of bluish green trees. I don't know. I think the ground should be green, and then all the weird buildings that are built are kind of grow out of that. But that's a tiny thing, and it's just a preference. Maybe most people like these weird colors, but and who knows what they have planned down the road. Maybe this is temporary, but
yeah,
I think green ground and normal colored, like maybe autumn colored trees would be more aesthetically pleasing to me. That's all,
yeah,
personally.
fair enough. We've been going over 35 minutes now, so I think it's a good place to close it out for this one.
Okay.
Our goal for this was, just to bring some of this attention to the foundation, to the community, and hopefully we can work together to continue to improve and make Decentraland awesome. I just want to say last thing about the character controller and locomotion and movement and whatnot. I thought that we were promised sliding, and I thought I was going to be able to slide down hills or something. And I thought even like my take on it was that it was going to be maybe a button. And I do think that it's something that Roblox has that Decentraland doesn't, and it would really change things, is like the potential to either one, like ragdoll an avatar, go like loose bone physics. For example, using that catapult over there, if we could have, rather than just having a collider that fake launches me through the air, if the avatar could have got momentum actually from the catapult launching forwards, and then, I thought that maybe I could press a button and slide down this hill like on my butt or something like that. I'm going to quickly throw in a clip of a new game that I've been playing a little bit called Deadlock that I think has really interesting locomotion and movement of the avatars in the game and how cool it can be. Not that, we're trying to be some action shooter MOBA like Deadlock is, but I just think that maybe we can get some lessons from that. Just looking at your avatar right now, Alan, I mean, are you in first person?
I'm in first person at the
Yeah,
moment.
the way
Yeah.
that your avatar's moving while you're like staying facing me but doing moving around, it just like looks totally unnatural, to be honest. I mean, it looks really weird. If you rotate like in a
Yeah.
clockwise motion around me while still facing me, if you could try and do that with your keys. Yeah, I mean uh, it's not too bad, but I
Sort
mean
of.
it's not ideal. It would be cool if, if a character's doing that, maybe he could step sideways. I Again, all right. I think we've gone on for long enough about
Yeah.
all the things that we desire out of
Can I add one
Decentraland.
thing? And you
Yeah.
can. I'm sorry to interrupt you, and you can cut it out. But I do find in the first person, we sort of talked about this. I find the fading out a bit weird.
Oh, yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
not
sorry,
sure.
we didn't mention that. I actually
Yeah.
here, let me quickly reload the scene. Um I'm just going to reload the scene because that's actually how I will be able to
Oh, there you go.
test it. So just bear with me one sec. I'll come back up to you.
Yeah. Cool.
So that we could see what you mean. So you're saying basically as
Yeah.
I approach you, it's a decent effect. It makes sense that you don't want to be able to get blocked or see the interior faces of a model on an avatar, but it's like quite far away where you start to fade out for me. And maybe
Yeah.
that could be a setting or something for preference of people, but like I want to get up and really see your mustache and I can't because it just fades out. So, um yeah, I think that's an important thing. Was there something else about that or did Use those
Well,
prompts.
I just think it feels awkward, and like maybe it's got to be it just got to snap quicker, or like the fading's fine, but maybe do it later and quicker. I don't know. There's some adjustment I think that needs to be made because especially when you're around a bunch of other people, you start looking around and it's just a bunch of half sort of phased in or phased out people, and it doesn't. I don't know. Doesn't
Yeah.
quite work in my opinion.
Yeah.
And another quick thing before I do think the in terms of viewing somebody's profile, I feel like can it be made so that you click on the person's name? I just think
Mm.
with all these weird emotes and people are floating in the air and there's like multiple people around and for it's not a huge deal, but
Yeah, yeah.
trying to actually
I'm
click on an
trying to click on your
individual
name now, and yeah, it's not
is
working.
yeah. So like you have to click on the body, but sometimes people are floating or there's layered people. I think if you can just zero right in on the name, it's a lot just like a target that's like boom, click on that and you're good to go. I feel like that would be more I don't know. Yeah, just cleaner. I could be wrong. Just
No,
my preference.
no, no. Yeah, I think it
But
would be a good fix. So cool. Well,
well,
thanks for listening, everyone. I mean, I'm just showing off a few last problems. My emote, I'm waving a Decentraland flag, but no flag shows up. No, this time it worked. So, I mean, I know these are
it wasn't showing
problems.
up for me either.
Yeah,
I
I know
couldn't
these are
see it either.
problems that people have talked about in the Decentraland Discord. So I'm sure the foundation team's working on it. I mean, yeah. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and look forward to feedback. And maybe we'll do some more videos like this to continue to make Decentraland better and where we want it to be. So thanks everyone.
Thanks. Good luck, everyone.